Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. In this video we'll be going through a tutorial setup for the Boeing 747-8 Intercontinental. We will go through its entire process from APU start, request pushback, engine start, taxi and takeoff. Now let's choose the airport. I will choose RJTT or Tokyo Haneda, and I will choose some remote parking bay. Let's try this. Okay, now let's get into the cockpit and start preparing this flight. As you see, this is a dark cockpit. There is no electric yet. What we have to do is head over to the overhead panel. And what you can do now is just push external power switches here, or in this case, I will use the electricity from battery, then start APU. Now we will set both the standby power switches to automatic. Then turn the battery switch on. Now the aircraft systems looks good. Now let's start with our first thing that we need to do with APU. What we're going to do now is turn the APU switch on and push to start for a few seconds. We have to wait for about 25 seconds. Here is the airplane APU. Okay, we can now hear the APU starting at the back of the airplane. Now both APU generators switch are available, so we press both of those switches. And we are now independent of all ground systems. In the next step, we will do a preparation with the flight computer. In this first page, everything looks good, so now let's move on to the next page. In this page, what we have to prepare is the airport code. So for Tokyo Haneda, we use RJTT. Then insert. Then we copy the GPS position and put in the IRS position. Okay, next page. In this page, we just insert the two airport codes, which are the departure airport and the destination airport. I will try RJTT and RJAA, which is Narita Airport. You can also change the flight number if you want. The next important page is a takeoff page. You have to insert the flap position for takeoff, which normally is flaps 10. Then click on V1, VR and V2. For that basic information. Now we are ready for takeoff. We can now start our pushback procedure. Before pushing back, it is nice to turn on both of the beacon lights, so that the ground crew will know that we are getting ready for the engine startup or the pushback. With the beacon lights on, the ground crews will now clear the area around the aircraft, and they will also move to a safe distance for engine starts. We now request the pushback.
Tokyo ground Boeing Alpha Sierra, 747 requesting pushback.
We can then turn off the parking brake. To make it easier, we will wait until the pushback complete, then start the engines. First of all, to start the engine we need to turn the fuel pumps on. I will tell you how to turn on the fuel pump switches later in the Boeing 747 fuel pump switch tutorial. So for today, let's turn on all the fuel pumps that has fuel. For the next step we will pull the engine starter switch. I will pull all 4 at the same time. And then below the throttle, you can find the 4 switches here. These switches control the fuel valve. You can now turn on all the fuel valves. Let's see. All the engine parameters are now running. All 4 engines are now ready, so we can now turn off the APU and we are ready for taxi. Now it is the time to request taxi.
Tokyo ground Boeing Alpha Sierra 747 with Mike request taxi for takeoff north departure.
Boeing Alpha Sierra 747 taxi to and hold short of runway 22 using taxiway Alpha Whiskey Juliet Juliet 1 Kilo Romeo. Contact tower on 118.725 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 22 via taxiway Alpha Whiskey Juliet Juliet 1 Kilo Romeo Boeing 747.
And for the takeoff, what we have to prepare now is flap position, which we have to set to our takeoff flap. Set the auto brakes to RTO or reject takeoff. Now our aircraft is ready for takeoff.